Zuri was 29 years old, and her banking app had just crossed $200,000. She was not a founder. She never sold a company. She never won a lottery or inherited a cent. Her salary peaked at $58,000 a year. By every visible measure, Zuri looked exactly like her coworkers. Same city, same rent bracket, same modest office job, same secondhand car. And yet one number quietly separated her from every single one of them. $200,000 built before 30 on an ordinary income. Most people assume a number like that requires a rich family or a lucky windfall. It does not. Zuri did it with 20 small habits, each one boring, each one repeatable, none of them requiring a raise. Here's exactly what she did, and the hidden math behind why it actually worked. Let me be honest about something first, because this is where most videos lie to you. Zuri did not save $200,000 by skipping her morning coffee. The single latte story is a myth, and we are going to destroy it completely before the end. The real engine behind her number was quieter, structural, and almost invisible from the outside. But the small habits still mattered, because they did something the gurus never bothered to explain. So before you dismiss frugality as pointless, hear this. Here is what the data actually shows, and here is exactly what Zuri did, step by step. Before the habits, understand the stakes, because they are bigger than they look. The gap between saving and not saving is not linear. It compounds, and it compounds against you when you wait. A person who starts at 22 and a person who starts at 30 are not 8 years apart. They are decades apart in final wealth. Every year you delay is a year of growth you can never buy back. That is why Zuri's story is not really about pinching pennies. It is about time, and about the invisible machine that turns small habits into large numbers. Most people never build that machine. Zuri built it before she turned 23, and then she just kept feeding it. Let me make this concrete with a second person. Zuri had a coworker we will call Nadia. Same job, same $58,000 ceiling, same desk across the aisle. Nadia was not reckless. She did not gamble or blow her money on anything wild. She simply spent whatever she earned, the way most people do. New phone every year, a financed car, dinner out 4 nights a week, a dozen subscriptions she never watched. On paper, Nadia and Zuri were twins. Same income, same city, same age. But 8 years later, Zuri had $200,000 and Nadia had almost nothing. Let's keep this fair. Nadia was not lazy or foolish. She just never built the machine. She let her money leave as fast as it arrived. Habit 1 was the single most powerful thing Zuri ever did, and it happened before she spent a dollar. On payday, 20% of her paycheck moved automatically into a separate account she could not easily touch. She never saw the money. She never budgeted it. It left her checking account before her brain could invent a reason to spend it. Financial experts recommend saving 15 to 20% of gross income, and almost nobody actually does it. Zuri automated it completely, so willpower was never part of the equation. Most people try to save whatever is left at the end of the month. There is never anything left at the end of the month. Zuri flipped the entire order. She paid herself first, then quietly lived on the rest. Nadia paid everyone else first and paid herself last, which meant never. Habit 2 was where that automated money actually went, and this is the real hero of the story. Zuri's savings did not sit in a checking account earning almost nothing. It flowed straight into a low-cost index fund every single month on autopilot. The S&P 500 has averaged roughly 10% a year over the long run. That single number did more work than every coupon she ever clipped. $500 a month invested from age 22 does not simply add up. It compounds on itself year after year. Her contributions over 8 years totaled around $48,000 of her own money. But the account grew to well over $60,000 from those early years alone, before her later savings even joined it. The gap between $48,000 and $60,000 is money she never earned at any job. That is compounding, doing the heavy lifting while she slept at night. Nadia kept her small savings in cash, where inflation quietly ate it every year. Habit 3 sounds far too simple to matter, but it moved more money than any coupon ever could. Zuri kept her rent under 1/3 of her take-home pay. No exceptions. Housing is the single biggest line in almost everyone's budget. Optimizing it one time beats optimizing your coffee 10,000 times. One person in the research relocated just a few blocks over and cut his housing costs by 15%. That single move saved him $4,800 a year every year, without changing his daily life at all. Over 5 years, that one quiet decision was worth more than $24,000. Zuri made that exact move early, before her taste got expensive. She chose a slightly smaller apartment in a slightly cheaper neighborhood. The sacrifice was nearly invisible day to day. The savings were absolutely enormous over time. Habit 4 attacked the second biggest expense in almost every budget: transportation. Zuri drove a reliable used car she bought in cash and kept for a full decade. She never once had a car payment in her 20s. The average new car buyer hands over hundreds of dollars every single month for a depreciating metal box. Zuri took those same hundreds and fed them straight to her index fund instead. A car loses value the very second you drive it off the lot. An index fund does the exact opposite over a long enough timeline. She simply refused to finance something whose only guarantee was going down in worth. Nadia, meanwhile, traded up her car twice in 8 years and never noticed the tens of thousands it cost her. Here is what nobody tells you about the kitchen, and it became Zuri's habit 5. Zuri cooked the large majority of her meals at home, on purpose. A home-cooked meal averages around $4 per plate. That same meal at a restaurant costs $16 or more per person. Americans routinely spend thousands of dollars a year eating out, often without ever noticing the total. Meal planning consistently delivers the highest financial return of any single frugal habit for most families. Zuri did not ban restaurants from her life or become a hermit. She simply made cooking the default and eating out the rare exception. That one quiet reversal saved her hundreds of dollars every single month, month after month. Habit 6 was a small monthly ritual that Zuri never once skipped in 8 years. On the first of every month, she opened all her subscriptions and canceled anything she had not actually used. The average American wastes around $200 a year on subscriptions they completely forgot they had. Gen Z wastes even more than that, closer to $276 every year. 89% of people underestimate what their subscriptions actually cost them each month. 66% are off by more than $200 when they finally check. Zuri was never one of those people. She audited the small leaks every month so they never quietly became a flood. Habit 7 was a simple rule she called the 24-hour pause. Before any purchase over $50, she forced herself to wait one full day. Most impulse buys die quietly overnight, all on their own. The wanting fades, the logic returns, and the money simply stays in her account. She was never depriving herself of anything she truly wanted. She was just giving her rational brain time to catch up with her emotional brain. Most people buy in the hot emotional heat of the moment. Zuri bought in the cool, clear light of the next morning. Or not at all. Habit 8 was buying quality once instead of buying cheap over and over again. A $20 pair of shoes that lasts 1 year costs you more than a $100 pair that lasts 10. Cheap things break, and broken things always get rebought. Zuri spent a little more upfront on the things she used every single day. She spent far less overall across the years because of it. This is the exact opposite of how frugality is usually pictured in people's heads. Real frugality is not always chasing the lowest sticker price on the shelf. It is chasing the lowest true cost over the entire life of the item. Habit 9 was tracking every single dollar for her first 90 days of adulthood. Zuri did not budget obsessively forever, and neither should you. She simply watched her money closely for 3 straight months to learn her own patterns. You cannot ever fix a leak that you cannot actually see. Once she knew where the money truly went each month, the fixes became almost embarrassingly obvious. Awareness alone changed her behavior before a single rule was ever enforced. Most people genuinely have no idea where their money disappears to. Zuri knew exactly, down to the last dollar, and that knowledge was power. Habit 10 was keeping her lifestyle perfectly flat every time her income went up. Every time Zuri got even a small raise, she sent the entire increase straight to her investments. Her monthly spending stayed exactly where it had always been. This one habit is the quiet killer that destroys most high earners. They earn more, so they spend more, and somehow they never actually get ahead. Economists have a name for it: lifestyle inflation, and it traps almost everyone. Zuri let her income climb steadily, while her lifestyle stood completely still. The ever-widening gap between the two became her entire fortune. Nadia got the same raises and upgraded her life with every one of them. Habit 11 was the emergency fund she built before she ever invested aggressively. 3 full months of expenses sat in cash, quietly untouched, just in case. That cushion meant one bad month never once forced her to sell investments in a panic. It meant a surprise bill never pushed her into high-interest credit card debt. Most people are only one surprise away from a complete financial spiral. Zuri built a solid wall against the surprises that inevitably come for everyone. That single wall let every one of her other habits survive the bad luck years. Habit 12 was buying used for anything that loses its value quickly. Furniture, electronics, tools, appliances, and of course, her decade-old car. Somebody else had already absorbed the steep depreciation for her. Zuri bought the exact same item a year later for roughly half the price. The function was completely identical to the shiny new version. The cost, however, was cut cleanly in half or more. She flatly refused to pay a premium just to be the very first owner of something. Habit 13 was learning to do small things herself instead of paying for them. Basic home repairs, simple cooking from scratch, minor fixes around the apartment. Each new skill she learned quietly replaced a recurring bill in her life. A skill you learn one time keeps paying you back for the rest of your life. Convenience is comfortable, and there is nothing wrong with comfort itself. But convenience always comes with a price tag that renews itself every single month. Habit 14 was the grocery list she absolutely never shopped without. Zuri walked into every store with a written plan already in hand. She walked out with only the things that were actually on that list. Unplanned grocery trips are exactly where careful budgets quietly bleed out. The impulse snacks, the extra cart items, the marketing traps planted at the end of every aisle. A list is really a promise you make to yourself before the store gets its chance to tempt you. Habit 15 was buying the store brand almost every single time she shopped. The generic product is very often made in the same factory as the famous name brand. You are frequently paying double the price for a different label and absolutely nothing else. Zuri did the blind taste comparison one time and never once looked back. The savings were genuinely small on any single item she bought. But those tiny savings became genuinely massive when added up across an entire year. Habit 16 was giving every windfall a specific job before she could ever feel it. Tax refunds, work bonuses, birthday money, all of it went straight to savings or investments. Found money feels completely free, so most people spend it fast and without thinking. Zuri treated every windfall like a surprise paycheck she simply had not budgeted for yet. That money never once touched her day-to-day spending. It always, without exception, touched her future instead. Habit 17 was quietly avoiding the endless trap of comparison spending. She did not upgrade her phone just because a coworker walked in with a new one. She did not chase a nicer car just because her neighbor happened to buy one. Most spending in this country is not actually about genuine need at all. It is about signaling status, about desperately keeping pace with people who are also secretly broke. Zuri simply opted out of the entire race, calmly and permanently. She let other people win a competition that she flatly refused to even enter. Habit 18 was negotiating every one of her recurring bills once a year. Internet service, car insurance, phone plans, all of it, every single year. One phone call, 10 short minutes, and very often a noticeably lower rate. Big companies are quietly counting on your silence and your inertia to keep charging you more. Loyalty, it turns out, is punished in this economy far more often than it is ever rewarded. Zuri asked for a better rate every single year without fail, and those savings compounded right alongside everything else she touched. Habit 19 was steadily investing in her own earning power over time. She spent a little money and a great deal of time on skills that raised her value at work. Cutting your expenses always has a hard floor beneath it. You can only ever cut your spending down to zero and no further. Growing your income, on the other hand, has absolutely no ceiling above it at all. Zuri worked both of those levers at the same time, deliberately. But she never once forgot which of the two levers had no limit whatsoever. Habit 20 was the quietest and most underrated habit of all of them: patience. Zuri did not check her accounts every day, and she never panicked when the markets dropped. She let plain time do the heavy lifting for 8 long, uninterrupted years. Wealth built before the age of 30 is almost never built in a single dramatic burst. It is built slowly in the boring, uneventful middle stretch, where nothing exciting happens at all. It is built in the years where the number just quietly keeps climbing while you look away. So there they all are, 20 separate habits laid out plainly. But here is the counterintuitive truth that almost nobody in this space will ever tell you. 19 of those 20 habits would have completely failed without the first two. If Zuri had cut coffee, skipped every restaurant, and clipped every single coupon in the paper, but never automated her savings and never invested a cent, she would still be flat broke today. Frugality all by itself is just a slow, joyless leak running in reverse. The real magic was never the act of saving money at all. The magic was that every dollar she saved got automatically launched into an engine that grew it while she slept. Cutting a subscription only ever builds wealth if the freed up money actually lands in an index fund. That is the one crucial sentence the gurus always conveniently skip. Frugality without investing is just quiet, pointless deprivation and nothing more. And this right here is exactly why the latte myth is so genuinely dangerous to you. It quietly tells you that the real enemy is your $5 cup of coffee. It is not. The true enemy is an unoptimized housing payment, a needlessly financed car, and a pile of idle cash earning nothing. You could give up every single latte for an entire decade and still lose badly. You would lose to one single bad decision on the big three expenses in your life. Zuri won precisely because she pulled the three biggest levers first and pulled them hard. Then she let the 20 small habits quietly protect the edges of everything else. She did the invisible thing that actually mattered most, structurally, at the very foundation. And she let the visible sacrifices stay small enough that she could genuinely live with them for years. Nadia, sitting at that same desk, did the exact opposite without ever realizing it. She skipped the 2 habits that mattered and half-heartedly tried the 18 that did not. She occasionally clipped a coupon, then financed a brand new car the very next week. She saved nothing automatically and invested nothing at all, ever. So the small sacrifices she did make simply vanished into her spending, leaving no trace behind. Same income, same city, same 8 years, and a $200,000 difference between them. That entire gap came down to the machine, and to who actually bothered to build one. If you take away only one single thing from Zuri's entire story, please take this one. Do not start your journey with the coffee. Start it with the automation. Move the money out before you can ever spend it. Invest that money before you can even feel that it is gone. Optimize the 3 biggest bills in your entire life before you ever touch the small ones. The next time someone confidently tells you that skipping a latte will make you rich, ask them one simple question. Where exactly does the saved money go after you save it? Because a dollar saved and then left completely idle is a dollar still doing absolutely nothing for you. A dollar saved and then immediately invested is the only kind that has ever made anyone truly wealthy. Do the math yourself carefully before you trust anyone's advice, including mine. Make the financial decision that matches your reality, not someone else's polished sales pitch. Subscribe to Wealth Logic, and we will keep breaking down the hidden math behind the financial decisions you face every single day.